Now, as you guys may or may not know, Christmas is just around the corner. In fact, it's just a couple of days away now, and that means that everyone is getting into the Christmas swing of things. You can see all of the Christmas decorations out, all of the lights, the shops are going mental trying to sell off all of their last Christmas gifts. Everything is kicking off for Christmas, and I thought I would kick off for Christmas as well. So today we're going to take a look at how to build a Winter Wonderland in Minecraft. Now this is what I've started off with. As you can see, we've got a perimeter fence going around the outside. We have got a few candy canes. We've got a giant Santa Claus in the hillside, which I'll be explaining a little bit later on. And we have got the entrance to this place down here. Now, if you do want to download this completely clean world, there'll be a link to that one down in the description so that you can build this thing along with me. But the plan for this one is a sort of mini fairground that has a few little stalls, a few little games that you can play, and just a few bits and pieces that you can do. Now, it's going to be packed to the brim with redstone. It's going to be a really, really cool build, so I'm pretty excited. So, the first thing that I'm going to work on is the entrance to this place, because of course we want people to pay to get into the Winter Wonderland. So what we're going to do is create a payment system that automatically opens up our gates. Now, the first thing that we've got to do here is we're going to place in a chest on the edge of this block. That's where our diamonds are going to be going in. We're going to break both of these blocks and place in 2 sticky pistons facing upwards, which are going to retract our fence post downwards to allow us to get into this place. Then all we have to do is place a chest right here and 2 hoppers running both in that direction. Then we're going to take a comparator output from this top hopper right here. That's going to run out into a block. And then we're going to have 2 blocks going across like this with redstone dust right there. A repeater running across into this block with a redstone torch running into the bottom of that hopper. So now if you just grab ourselves some diamonds and run them across like that, you should see that those diamonds will drop down until there is 18 left in the first slot. And that means that the payment system is actually all done. So if we chuck in a diamond right here, you can see we get ourselves a redstone output through the system. So now we just need to extend out that redstone signal, and that's going to be going out into this repeater, which is going to carry on into a pulse extender, which you're going to create by doing this sort of thing, which should cause our sticky pistons to stay retracted for slightly longer. We need to break that block to stop that sticky piston from being powered, and then we need to run some blocks across like this with redstone on top like that. We're going to place redstone torches underneath those pistons. To finish up our circuit, all we need to do is place a lever down here to just distract that redstone signal, just get it to go off in a slightly different direction so it doesn't directly power this hopper, because that will break the entire system. But then you want to pop around the back and just go down this hole right here and chuck in 2 redstone torches underneath the sticky pistons, which will cause those to extend, which means that we now have the full extension and retraction system. So now we can just place in all of the blocks just like this. Now I'm going to be using snow for this one because of course it is Winter Wonderland, but you can use whatever blocks you really fancy. But one thing that I will mention is that you may notice that unfortunately our comparator is a tiny bit exposed. Now originally I thought you could place a snow layer on top of this thing, but apparently that doesn't actually work. So what we're going to have to do is place a carpet on top, which, I mean, it looks okay. I suppose you could place them around elsewhere just to make it look like it's one of those decorative things that you're doing. But now we can actually give this thing a proper tester. Now sadly the 2 fence posts up at the top here are going to have to go. You might have to come up with a new way to decorate this place because that does look just a tiny bit strange. But if we place a diamond in here, you can see that the system is working fine. The fence posts get retracted, they stay down for a decent length of time, allowing you to pass on through, and then they pop back up. But the issue is that now that that's happened, we can't actually get out of the Winter Wonderland without paying another diamond, which seems like a pretty silly idea. So we're just going to place in a button on top of this block, and we're going to run a redstone output from that button all the way across into that redstone over there, which will go into the pulse extender, which will allow us to get out nice and easily. So if you just replace the blocks and hit the button, you can see that those retract and we can make our way out. Perfect, the entrance is now completed. Next up, we are going to be starting work on our first mini game in the Winter Wonderland. So I'm going to build 4 3-high pillars, 4 blocks apart from one another. So we've got 4 blocks there, we've got 4 blocks off in this direction, and 4 blocks off in that direction. And I'm just constructing this thing on top of this hill right here. And then what I'm going to do is place a bunch of cobblestone stairs just making their way around the outside, just like that. Now this is pretty much going to be the theme for almost all of the builds inside this Winter Wonderland area, just because I think it looks pretty cool. So we're going to have like a cobblestone outer edge going around like this. It's a bit of a slow process, I have to say, especially with me doing it. But there we go, almost there. And there is our roof. And then on top of this, we're going to have our stone slabs. You guys probably expected that. You guys know what I'm like. I love my stone slabs. I just think this is a really cool little roof design. But then around the bottom, we're going to start adding in all of the spruce wood fence posts. So they'll go around to the bottom just like this. And you want to place them going across there and then going across like that and across like that. Out of the front, we're going to have one dropper facing upwards, and then we're going to have a cobblestone stair and then another set of 2 droppers just like this. That one's going to be for your bow, and that one is going to be for your arrows. And then out the back, we're going to have a bunch of cobblestone going across the bottom, a bunch of dispensers right here. This is going to be for the chickens. And then once again, we're going to have some cobblestone stairs that are upside down just like this. As final little bits of decoration right here, all I'm going to do is add some item frames going around the outside like this, and inside those item frames we're going to place anvils, and then on top of the item frames we're going to be placing torches. Now I'm sure you guys have seen this little decorative hack before, but I think it's awesome. It's one of those things that I really need to get used to using in my builds, because as you can see when we place in the redstone torch, it looks like the torch is being held within a holder. Like, it's as if it's in like a medieval castle or something like that, and the torches are mounted on the walls by like iron braces or something. It looks epic, and it's, as I say, something that I'm definitely going to have to use more in all of my builds, but I definitely think it fits in with this little target practice game. And another piece of detail that you need to do is you just need to remove all of these blocks here and replace them with snow blocks. And as you can see also, the snow layers are going to melt, so you might want to place in some snow blocks across the bottom just to make sure that you don't have any grass peeking through, because, well, that's not particularly Winter Wonderlandy, is it? The redstone for this one is going to be sort of easy. It's going to be quite a simple one, but it's also going to be quite tight. So as you can see, I've cleared out a little space underneath here. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks, and I believe I've got 6 blocks going across as well. So we've got a 6x6 area underneath here, and the first thing that we're going to do is place in a button on the edge of this dropper, and that is going to send out the bow, but it is also going to send out the rest of the contraption. So we're going to place a block down underneath this dropper, which will be powered by that button. That's then going to run across like this with a repeater and go all the way across here and run in a line all the way across like this. Now this line of redstone goes directly underneath all of the cobblestone, which is underneath all of the dispensers. Now the reason that that's important is because we see we need to trigger these dispensers somehow, and the way that we're going to be doing that is by using the new observer blocks. So I think I can just place in the observer there. That should be facing upwards, and that will be powering all of the cobblestone, which means that as soon as you send a redstone signal through that redstone right there, these observers will give 1 pulse, and then when the redstone turns off, they'll give another pulse, meaning that these dispensers will trigger in total 8 times. So it'll be twice per dispenser, so we get 8 dispenser rings, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Time to fill in all of the dispensers. You need to fill all of these back dispensers in with chickens. I've done the other 3, so that's the final one. Then these ones we need to fill with arrows. Make sure that they are droppers, because otherwise you are going to be blasted by a bunch of arrows, and that won't be particularly good. And then finally, this dropper right here needs to be filled in with bows, and that is the game all completed. So if I clear out my inventory right here, hit this button, you can see that we get a bunch of chickens and also a bunch of arrows. Now one of the arrows did fly across into the pen there, which is a bit frustrating because that means that I can't actually kill all of the chickens. So maybe that's a bit of a design flaw if you were playing in survival mode, but for the time being, I think that thing's... Now we're going to be moving on from that thing onto the Christmas tree. Obviously, we need a Christmas tree in Winter Wonderland, and this is actually going to be following a tutorial that I recently posted on my channel. Now, if you haven't seen that one before, would highly suggest checking it out, but of course, I am going to be showing you pretty much everything in today's video. It's just going to be slightly faster. So the first thing that I'm going to do is place an observer on the floor, and then we're going to go a second observer, and then a third, a fourth, and a 5th observer. So we need to go 5 observers upwards. Each one of them has redstone between the previous observer, and that's so that we can transmit a redstone signal going right the way up to the top, and then up at the top, we're going to have ourselves a redstone lamp. Correction, it's actually a block and then a redstone lamp. But anyway, we're now going to do the branches, and the way that you do those is by placing 2 blocks going across like this. Then you want a block right there, and you basically want to zigzag your blocks going right the way up to the top until you reach this point right here. So you should have 2 blocks heading out like this, and then your sort of zigzag formation going up like that, and on the end of each one of these branches you just want to place in a redstone lamp just like that. So we've got a redstone lamp on the end there going up like this, and then 1 redstone lamp up at the top. Then you just need to fill in the redstone. So you just want to place redstone in like this. Then at the bottom, you just want to place a repeater and then some redstone dust right there. And then you want to repeat exactly the same process for the other 3 sides. Alright, that is all looking good. If not, just a tiny bit on the bare side. I mean, can you imagine if you put up that Christmas tree right there? Yeah, it would be a little bit terrible. So we're going to have to fill in all of the leaves. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to quite simply go across like this over to the other set of redstone lamps, and then you're going to have to fill in all of those leaves in the middle there just to make sure that the tree doesn't look completely hollow. Then on this layer you just go straight across like that once again, and we're going to go up 3 blocks right here, and once again fill in all the leaves. I'm probably not doing a particularly good job of filling in the leaves, but that's because I'm trying my best to do this nice and quickly. But then for this one you just go across like that, fill in all of those, but then you want to take out that block and place in leaves just like this, and there we go. That is the Christmas design, all done and dusted. In fact, no, it definitely looks better with that block right there. So yeah, that is the way this thing is going to look. Make sure that you don't miss any blocks, fill in everything, and then once again, repeat exactly the same process 4 times over. Finally, we have something that sort of resembles a tree, so now I'm just going to run around, placing in all of our baubles. Now, I've only got blue and pink at this point in time, and I'm never good at placing things in randomly, but I would say that, I mean, that looks sort of presentable. Would you say it looks kind of presentable-ish? These aren't the most Christmassy colours in the history of mankind, but yeah, that looks pretty cool to me. But anyway, we are now going to pop it down underneath right here, and we are going to do the final few pieces of redstone. So, as you guys have seen, we have got this observer down at the bottom. That's actually what's controlling all of the redstone circuitry, and all we have to do is knock out a few blocks and run a redstone input into this block right here. That observer will detect that update and it will send it right the way through all of our redstone lamps. So we just need a comparator right here, and then we're going to have a 4 hopper clock just running around like this. So the hoppers are going to go into that block, and I'm just trying my best to navigate around here. It's impossible. So they go around like that, and there we go. Then if you place an item on the inside of this thing, I'll probably start being hit by lag because for some reason my computer doesn't really like redstone lamps too much. But this is what it looks like. We have a really cool flashing Christmas tree. Next build on the list is one of those animated music booths. I mean, I don't know really how to describe what I'm trying to describe here, but I think it's like an animated music booth. Anyway, we're going to place 4 pillars once again. These ones are going to be 4 blocks high, and they're going to be 2 blocks apart, and then the other 2 are going to be right the way over here, and they're only going to be 2 blocks high, so they should match up with those pillars there. And then we are going to have to do just a tiny bit of terraforming, knocking out all of these blocks, just to place in the other 2. Just like that. Then once again, we are going to be grabbing the old faithful cobblestone stairs, and we are going to be running those round in the roof formation. Next, we're going to fill in the entire top section with the stone slabs. It's a slightly different design to the one that we used over there, but I'd say it still looks pretty cool and it still fits in with the theme. And in case you're wondering, I haven't actually filled in these areas on this side, simply because I feel like it looks a tiny bit better if I don't wrap around the cobblestone on this side, as it gets very, very close to Santa's beard, and nobody wants to mess with Santa's beard. But anyway, we're going to pop down underneath now, and we're going to start removing all of these blocks. So we need to make sure that all of these blocks are taken out and they match the level of this layer right here. So let's just quickly do all of that. And then across the front, we're going to have a bunch of furnaces. Now this is because we're actually going to be using some slime blocks for this build, and we need to make sure that the slime blocks don't pull or push any blocks here, because that will break the entire system. So all of our furnaces are in, those are all immovable objects. Then we're going to run upside down cobblestone stairs, just going across like that, which will be for decoration. I just think they look pretty cool. So the sticky piston is going to be going down at the bottom right here, and on top of that sticky piston, we're going to have all of the slime blocks making their way across like this. Now, one thing that you need to make sure of is that there's no blocks that are connecting up to the slime blocks, because if there are, then the slime blocks aren't going to be able to move, and that means that the entire system is just going to be completely ruined. But anyway, out the back here, we're going to have all of our furnaces. These can be any immovable object you really want. You could have obsidian, you could have note blocks, whatever you really fancy. Just make sure that they are immovable. And then on top of that, we're going to have water. But of course, because we're in an icy biome, you need to make sure that all of the water is fully lit up. Otherwise, it will freeze up, and you'll just have ice blocks out the back here, which isn't going to be particularly brilliant. But anyway, on top of these slime blocks, we're going to place in armor stands. Then on top of this water, we're just going to place in a bunch of water, and that will just flow down like this. Try your best to do it as fast as possible, because otherwise all of the armor stands get moved. But that is actually the entire system all done. I have added in an extra piece of detail out the back here. You can see we've got a bunch of stone slabs going across here. That's just to hide away the back of the mechanism, because I don't think that looks particularly good. But out the front, we're going to place in our jukebox. We're going to take a comparator output from that one. We're going to run that into a repeater, which is going to take a redstone output through to our sticky piston, which means as soon as we put a music disc inside this thing, those slime blocks are going to extend, pushing up all of our armor stands. But there is one very important thing that we need to do, and that is to place a line of blocks just going across like this, and that's to stop our armor stands jumping forwards and landing on top of these blocks right here. But if we place the item inside the jukebox, you can see that all of the music starts playing and our armor stands start jumping up and down like crazy. I think this thing looks hilarious. This is definitely one of my favourite redstone contraptions in the Winter Wonderland. And of course, if we remove the music disc, then they will stop bouncing up and down, and that will switch off the entire mechanism. Awesome. For the final build that I'm going to be showing you in today's video, we're going to create the system that is going to be on the inside of the giant Santa face right here. Now, if you want to build the giant Santa face, I'll quickly scoot on over to the F1 mode so that you guys can see exactly what you have to do. We've got the beard down at the bottom, that's made of white wool. Then his face is made of white hardened clay. And then we've got the Santa's hat up at the top, which is made of snow, red hardened clay, and the snow block at the end. It's actually quite a small and simple build, and it's based on the design that I used for the tiny Temple of Notch that I uploaded on my YouTube channel quite a long time ago now, which actually uses a fairly similar system to this one, but it's just a tiny bit more complicated. But what we're going to be building here is essentially a naughty or nice machine. So when you hit this button down at the bottom of his beard here, it will do some randomization, and it will decide whether or not you've been naughty or nice, and it will give you either coal or diamonds. The redstone behind this one really is quite simple. All we have to do is pop around the back, place a redstone torch on the back side of the button. That's going to be running up into this block right here, which is going to have redstone dust in between those two blocks. Then we're going to have 3 sticky pistons facing upwards just like this, with the blocks on all of their faces. And that means that when you hit the button, Santa's mouth should open, as you can see right there. Now what that's going to allow us to do is to launch an item out from the mouth. So basically Santa is going to be vomiting presents at you, which, you know, could be a good or a bad thing depending on how you take it. We're going to take a repeater output from this redstone torch. We're going to be running that up into a little redstone torch tower right here, which is going to run the redstone output up into this dropper that is going to be in this location right here, but we can't really place it, so we're going to have to break that block, place in the dropper right there, and then replace the black wool. So here are our 2 presents. We have got either diamonds, which we can fill 3 gaps with, and also we have got charcoal, which once again we have got 3 gaps with right there. Now what that means is that when we hit this button, that dropper is going to randomize, and it is going to decide for you if you've been naughty or nice. So we hit the button, the mouth will open, and we got ourselves a diamond. By the look of things, we've actually been pretty good this year, and Santa is definitely on our side. That's good news. Now there's just one thing that I want to say before I go. This is the Winter Wonderland that I originally developed when I was first coming up with the ideas for this thing. So I built the entire thing. Obviously we've got all of the builds dotted around. If you're wondering, that's how I do all of these videos. I build it first, and then I build it again for the video. But one of the contraptions that I had for this one, which I'm not going to be doing in the new design, is this, which is the present wrapping machine. So say, for example, we get ourselves an iron block, for example. We place it inside this dropper up at the top here, and then we hit this button, it drops down, it gets pushed across by all of the pistons, and then ends up in this chest down at the bottom here. Now, in my head, this was like a present factory, but to be honest with you, I didn't think it was really that cool, and I didn't really think it fitted in with the Winter Wonderland theme, so I didn't decide to keep it in the video. But let me know down in the comment section if you think that contraption is a good one. So we have it, guys. There is your very own and personal Winter Wonderland fully developed. Now, of course, there is some extra decoration you guys can do. Add a few more candy canes, perhaps dot some presents around the place. Add a few more trees because this place is looking a tiny bit barren. But one thing that I would suggest doing is just going toggle, downfall. And that means that it should start snowing, and instantly I'm getting back into the Christmas spirit of things. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.